as I always say, keep a close eye on your people and keep an eye on them, because you will see it, because everyone else saw my stress but me. Everyone else saw how I was working myself literally to death but me.
Hello and welcome to the Unlock Lab. I am so glad you're here for this amazing and beautiful conversation with Roderick Jefferson. We are here today talking about the stroke of success. What does that mean? What are we talking about? Well, you're going to have to tune in, but I'll give you a couple hints. We talk about a major life event that Roderick had that changed his life and perspective. And we also talk about his very big career, not just in the sales enablement space and in big corporate spaces, but also as a keynote speaker. And we just talk about what it means to really focus on what matters. I think this episode is going to inspire you to think differently. It's going to motivate you to make some choices that you know you want to make but haven't yet. Roderick is generous in the lessons that he's learned and shares with you, and also in just being very vulnerable and transparent about his journey. So I'm excited for you to meet Roderick. Before I dive in, let me say, if you are new to the podcast, welcome. I'm Tosca DiMatteo, and I'm the founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting. I support you in thinking differently and getting out of your own way as it relates to your professional goals. I support you with content and transformation at the intersection of personal growth and professional breakthroughs, whether that's from stages, whether that's in small team meetings, retreats, or one-on-one coaching. I'm here to help you reach that next level of success by getting at the deepest layers of what's holding you back. If you want to learn more about how I can support you, your event, or your team, please visit coachtosca.com. That's coachtosca.com. So let me tell you a little bit about Roderick before we jump in. Roderick is an internationally recognized keynote speaker. He's presented nationally and in 14 countries globally, and he understands the power of sharing real life strategies. He has a new book coming out this October, which is called Stroke of Success. He is also an acknowledged thought leader in the sales enablement space, having written several books and done several trainings and work in mega companies, including Oracle, Salesforce.com, NetApp, AT&T, PayPal, and so many others. Today, we're really talking about his career journey and the epiphany that he had in October of 2021 that changed his life forever. I'm so honored and pleased to have Roderick here today. Let's jump right in. Roderick, we are here because we just had some great encounters. We were on a panel together, and you have this amazing book coming out called Stroke of Success in October 2025. You just have a breadth of experience in sales enablement, in life, in corporate America, and you've been through some things.
A couple of things, definitely.
I just, really feel like your story is really important for everyone to hear. So I'm just honored that you are here with me today. So thank you so much for choosing to say yes to the Unlock Lab podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Tosca. I really appreciate it. And I've been looking forward to this one.
Oh man, me too. Thank you. It means a lot to hear that. This podcast, right, is about helping people see possibilities for their career, understanding pathways, opening our minds to what's possible. And you have this long career in sales enablement. You've written a bunch of books, Amazon bestseller stuff. So help me understand, help the audience get to know Roderick Jefferson. What was your kind of pivotal career path moments? And I'd just love to just get a sense of your journey to date.
Thanks. Why don't we go back to the future first? How about that? Grew up in Louisiana and Texas, and then moved out to California later in life. Went to college, was about to head out and go play pro ball overseas, and met a girl. And 35 years later, she's still putting up with me, so I don't regret that one at all. I am recently a grandpa, which that just tops it all. That is the ultimate icing right there. But professionally, I started out as a salesperson about 30 years ago. I was a biz dev rep, BDR, dialing for dollars out there, right? Just trying to learn how to be a grown-up, quite honestly. So it was my first big boy job. And I was fortunate enough to start at AT&T. So, I didn't even have to work my way up. I did really well, got promoted to account executive, did very well, went to President's Club a couple of times, got promoted to, you guessed it, sales leader. And I turned it down. They thought I was nuts. I said, well, there's a couple of things. One, I don't want to take a pay cut. And secondly, I love the process of selling way more than I do taking down big deals. I didn't get excited about ringing the bell and putting names up on the board. It was always about how do I help people and how do I help my clients and customers to be bigger, faster, and stronger. So after I turned it down, I actually talked myself into a new job. I said to my VP of sales two things. One, what if I could teach people the basic rudimentary way that I did that got me to club and was successful? And secondly, what if I helped get more people to get to President's Club than you have budget for? And he said, then you got a new job. And I took on my first job as a trainer. I didn't know what I was doing. I was faking it until I made it. I really was. But you know what? Outwardly, I said everything with confidence. And that was the important part. All right. And so from there.
Wait, hold on one sec. One sec, because I just love what you just shared. And I want to pause on that for a hot second. You basically proposed a job based on what you thought would be of interest and value.
To the company.
To the company, exactly. And also honoring what it is you wanted, right? Because you said no to the thing that you were like, I don't want.
Absolutely.
Which for a lot of people is hard to do. It's because we like the opportunities on a silver platter. And then it's like, oh, sure, why not? And I just love that you were like, no, from the very beginning, you were like in control of your own career bus. You were driving the bus and you made this proposal. And I want to pause on that because I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves permission to do that, first of all. And second of all, that you did it based on what would be of value to the company. And it was a clear yes. They were like, hey, like if you can do that on board, show us. So I think that's just really valuable. And I'm curious if that was hard for you. I mean, I know this is many years ago now, but or have you always been just bold and direct and I'm going after the thing? Do you remember what that was like for you?
I do. I remember it vividly. No, actually, honestly, the first time I didn't feel scared going and talking to my VP because of that thing that you just said. One, I knew that it was high value and ROI as well to the company. But I also understood at an early age that I can't let someone else drive my career because they're going to take me in a place where they want me to be versus where I want to be. And I'm the one that has to go there every day. So I said, you know what? I'm bold enough to give it a shot. Honestly, Tosca, the worst case he could have said was no. And I was no further behind than when he said yes. And had he said no, I would have gone somewhere else and found something different and done this somewhere else. I'm glad that they saw the value and the ROI of doing it. And then the other piece was I knew in my soul, and I taught my kids and I teach all my mentees this simple philosophy. You're going to find 8 to 10 jobs in your life. Your career, your passion will find you. It probably won't look like what you think it's going to look like. It probably won't be as easy as you think it's going to be at first. But you've got to stick with it and you've got to believe in yourself enough to say, I'm going to make this happen because failure is not an option. And I believe hope is not a strategy. Now, let me be very clear. I am one of the most hopeful people I know. I will say hope alone is not a strategy, right? We go through life with, when we graduate high school, I hope I get into the right college. I hope I get good professors. I hope I get into the right social circle. Then I hope that I get the right job. I hope that I get a great leader. At what point do you take control of your own destiny and stop being blown around like a leaf in the wind?
Mic drop on that. Stop being a leaf being blown around in the wind. I know there are some people that need to hear this message right now, and that you mentioned leading, you led with confidence. And I think in sales, that's just part and parcel to that industry.
Also the territory. If you don't say it with confidence, no one's ever going to believe you.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's true. Most of the time, salespeople. I was one, so I remember.
Yeah. And so walk me through what happened next? You clearly killed that job.
Thank you. That's when the fun started. Then I left there and it for the next 20 years was a rocket ship. And I call myself the black unicorn of Silicon Valley. And I don't say that with any ego. It's because I don't know anyone that has had that kind of, I'll say, meteoric rise. But it's not because I was lucky. It's not because I was special. It was because I was willing to put the work in. So I then jumped over and helped to found something called the Sales Enablement Society, which is now the Revenue Enablement Society. And we were the founders of the nomenclature Sales Enablement, right? That is now a global organization in every enterprise company in the world. So I spent time running enablement at Siebel Systems, eBay, HP, Oracle, Salesforce, and Marketo. Now you see why I call myself that. Now, I'm incredibly blessed to be able to do it, but at the same time, I wasn't afraid to put the hard work in, get my fingernails dirty, and I wasn't going to take no.
Yeah.
I was not, because I knew that this is what I was supposed to do. It was burning inside of me. All I needed were the right mentors and sponsors in my corner that were going to teach me how to play corporate chess instead of checkers. And thank God I had a number of those. And then from there, I became one of those. And my give back is because growing up as a boy, my mom always taught me, don't give to get, son, give to give, because you're going to get things back in a different way. God doesn't do this 1 for 1, 3 for 3. And even my wife reminds me all the time. Recently, I said, you know what? I'm always doing these things. At some point, it's got to start coming back. And she's like, stop it. First of all, don't ever say that again, because you're alive, you're well, the family's healthy and happy. We've been together for 35 years and still growing. You've got roof over your head. She's like, how about just thank you? Just thank you. That's all you had to say now. And she said, and then walk away. So I said, yes, ma'am.
Smart man on many levels here.
Every once in a while, I say something that's smart, and that's my one for the day, and I don't push the limits.
And here we are, right? Like, you're sharing your beautiful life journey, right? You've met your wife, you've built a family, you had a incredible career that you very much managed, you very much did the work, right? Stayed open. Just want to acknowledge, like, I'm sure that that was also not easy, as you mentioned, right? As a Black man in America, in corporate America, as probably the only, right, in many of the rooms that you were in.
Absolutely.
And, obviously the hard work, your mentality, your approach, like who you are made all of that success possible. But are there a few things that you can point to say, this is how I got through that? This is what it was like for me. And just as inspiration for others who are like feeling like the only, who are feeling like the world is stacked against you. Like, how did you get through all of that?
I think there were stages of this. And to the point you just made, yes, I was always the only person that looked like me in leadership, in the boardroom, part of the executive teams that I was a part of. But I also remembered that as I was raised, and something that sticks in my head, and that was, there's nothing you can't do, son, but you can't do it by yourself. And so what I did to get through those difficult times were a couple of different things. One, I found myself some sponsors and some mentors that had been there and done that before. And that was my opportunity to lean on them and say, hey, how'd you get through this? How can I learn through what you learned? How do I learn how to and not how to? And then when things didn't go well, I had of course, I'm human. I had the woe is me, why has this happened kind of thing. But then I started looking and going, again, while I am the only one, I don't have to be the last one.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be so good at it that I can open the door for others. Because if I blow it, I realized what was going to happen. Look, I'm not Jackie Robinson. I'm not Barack Obama. But in corporate, I'm one of those type of figures now. And I realized that as I was growing up and in corporate, that if I screwed up for a lot of us. But if I succeeded, I showed others that it's not just possible, that it's probable and it's attainable now. And so I'm walking through every meeting, and I remembered this vividly. Over and over, I would say it every time it was a big meeting. This is your one shot. That's all you get. You get one shot. Don't screw it up for everybody else, because it stopped being about me. When I got to VP, I got to senior vice president level, it was no longer about me. It was about all those people that were coming behind me, that if I didn't show them it was possible and probable and attainable, they wouldn't do it. And the other piece was, I surrounded myself with an enormous amount of really strong Black men. I'm a part of the 100 Black Men of America. And our slogan is, what they see is what they'll be. And I take that very seriously. And I take it literally. because I know that I am that kid that we're trying to help raise as part of our community. I was that kid. I was the young kid that grew up in the projects. I was the kid that grew up poor. I was the kid that was not supposed to make it out and not be successful. But I also had athletics. I was a high level athlete in basketball. And I learned a lot of lessons from that. And so you take that growing up in the hood on top of the athletic piece, on top of the foundation of faith from my parents, on top of I have this natural inbred desire to be successful. And I only fear two things. I don't like rats. I'll say that. But the only other thing that I fear is failure. And I run from it every single day.
Thank you so much for sharing what that journey was like for you, is like for you, perhaps still in some ways. And I'm just really conscious of the weight that you put on yourself. And I think a lot of people do put this burden on themselves about, I have to get it right for the next one. And that can be a very heavy weight, whether it's the first generation folks, right? The whoever's
Yeah.
the only in the room. And clearly you had this mindset of like, this is bigger than me, of like, my mission goes beyond what I want in my own career. But like, did that take a big toll? Were you even aware of what that weight was doing to you?
No, because, and I talk about this in one of the stories in my book, that you don't see it because you're literally still too close to the trees
Mm.
or to the forest to see the trees. And I'd gotten comfortable and, a matter of fact, thrived on that high level, that red line of stress, if you
Mm.
will, right? I had thrived on being able to be accounted for and accountable. And the piece about holding that mantle and carrying things on my shoulders, I figured the bigger I got, the wider my shoulders got. So I could take more on. And then I learned how to navigate this. And I thought, this is what you do because all of the other executives are doing the same thing, right? We're flying around the world in corporate helicopters and corporate jets and, staying in high-end hotels. And at the same time, I missed my daughter's eighth grade graduation. I missed my son's dance competition, basketball games, football games. My wife had an entire schedule with the kids as a single married mom because I lived on the road so often. Now, I convinced myself egotistically, and I'll say that honestly, that I was providing and protecting. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what men do. But what's left out and no one tells you is the nights when I'm on the road, yeah, I may be in Con Monte Carlo staying in a castle somewhere, but I'm crying myself to sleep because I miss my family. Right. Now it got easier once we had FaceTime. But early in my career, no. We talked on the phone. We didn't see each other for a week, 10 days at a time. And then I'd come home. And I remember one time I came home and I said, I was so excited because normally I would just come in, get my dry cleaning, hang out with the kids a little bit with my wife, and then boom, I'm right back out. One time I'd come home and I said, oh, yeah, I am craving pizza like there's no tomorrow. And my son looked me in the face and said, Dad, Tuesday is shake and bake day. And what that made me realize is they have a whole life and routine without me. Now, that should be enough to change me. Nope, I got my dry cleaning and I went back out again until my brain and my body said enough. And then on top of it, because of the athletics, I have something called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is an enlarged heart. No blockage, just an excess layer of muscle. So essentially, I got in too good of shape when I was younger in my life. And so what the problem with that is, and it creates is the normal heart squeezes at 65 to 75% on average. When it gets down to 20%, cardiac arrest hits and you die. I was on the road doing a sales kickoff event, and it was October 27th, 2021, right? Middle of COVID. And I go to sleep like we go out to dinner and, we do the practice and walkthrough and all that. I go to sleep like every other night. October 28th was not like any day I'd ever seen. I woke up the next day. And every day, my wife and I, we communicate over FaceTime every morning. Hey, what's going on with the kids? What's happening at home? What's going on the road? And she said, babe, you don't sound right. And it's like, what do you mean? She said, jump on FaceTime with me. I need to see you. I need to see your face to see if you're drooping because you don't sound right. We jumped on and she said, count to 10. I'm like, really? 1, 2, 27, 59, 46. Say your ABCs for you. Come on now. A, B, X, L, T, Q, H, M. She looked and she said, babe, you're having a stroke. I'm going to call Tim. And Tim Carlson was my director who was there with me on my team. Now, here's where I go back to the craziest part of this. As I said, you get down to 20% and you cardiac arrest, you die. They send me to the hospital, emergency. That day I was supposed to fly, I was in LA. I was supposed to fly back to Oakland. I flew back mid-stroke. That tells you how crazy I was. And I should have never been released by the emergency doctor. But nevertheless, I fly back. They take me my wife rushes me to the emergency room. When I get there, two things I learned. Well, they learned because I don't remember the first 3 or 4 days. Well, in the hospital. First, I should not have flown because altitude and cabin pressure, the doctor said I should have been dead, DOA, when we hit the ground. The second piece is I was at 22% heart function, 2% away from being dead. And the third piece, the most amazing piece is I had my stroke while I was asleep. 98% of sleep stroke victims never wake up. So I'm blessed enough to be in the 2% club.
Wow. So, I mean, life-changing moment, right? Like,
Absolutely.
and you talked about, I don't know, what comes up for me is like body awareness. Did you know about your condition before the stroke or did that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you knew about.
Yeah, I'd been dealing with it
Yeah.
for 15 or so years by that time. So I was very aware of it, but I didn't realize that it could slow down so much that it could create a clot that would float up to my brain. And I know God has a sense of humor because as a professional keynote speaker, my stroke was in the middle of my speech center. So at this point, I can't talk now. I can only listen. And I think there was some very valuable lessons I was supposed to learn. And my neurologist said that while it was in the center, and I mean dead smack dab in the center, he said a millimeter northeast, south, or west, I wouldn't be here today.
Oh my gosh. Well, what a blessing, double, triple blessing that you're here with me
Absolutely.
today. And I talk about from time to time on this, probably not enough, right? Is how much information our body has and how important it is to pay
Yes.
attention to it, right? Whether it's telling us it's time to leave that job because your stomach is in knots every morning, like I'm talking about myself here at one point in my career,
We've all been there.
whether I ignored my body for 3 months before being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, right? Like denial, I was 22, right? So it's not, there's denial. I'm curious for you, were there signs of just deteriorating health or was this just really sudden or were there, and maybe it was not related, but when you think about, did you pay attention to your body before this? Or was this like just a super rude awakening? Like what was that journey for you?
I'm going to go with rude awakening for 1,000, Alex. Right? Because no, up until that point, life was quote unquote normal. And that's why strokes are the silent killers. And by the way, for those that are listening, I have now realized as an advocate that 1 out of every 4 adults over the age of 25 will incur a stroke. Either they will have it or someone in their immediate circle will have it. And so, as I always say, keep a close eye on your people and keep an eye on them because you will see it because everyone else saw my stress but me. Everyone else saw how I was working myself literally to death but me. And I'd love to say, no, there were these crazy signs that I ignored. It didn't happen that way, right? I was fine on October 27th. On October 28th, I was full-blown stroke. Now, as if that's not enough, Tosca, I'd been in the hospital for about a week and we were going through all the diagnostics. And like I said, the first 3 or 4 were completely blank. I don't remember any of it. I was out and partially heavily medicated as well. So remember, it's COVID and my wife would come. She was the only person that could come and see me. That night she left and she said now, and again, another story in the book, she said she cried herself all the way home because I looked so bad. She said she knew that was the last time she was going to see me alive. It had gotten that bad. And little did she know that merely hours after she left, all of a sudden lights start going off, flashing, and I hear code blue, and it's my room. Now, I know I had been having a tough time breathing, so they had me on full blown oxygen, right? But I didn't expect what was about to happen. And that was all of a sudden I went from beep, 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 and I flatlined. Now, to answer the question everyone wants to know, I did not see a white light, right? I didn't even leave the room. I actually floated up to the corner of the room and I'm looking down on them working on my body, sucking out fluids and doing chest compression. And it's crazy. It's like going to the dentist and you have twilight where everything is fuzzy, but you can't really make things out. Other than the next thing that happened, I look to my left, floating in the air now, and it's my mama. My mama died in 1999. You know what my immediate thought was? Okay, mama, I've done everything I need to. I'm ready to go home. And she said, no, baby. And I know it was her. She had the purple moo that she always wore. It was my mom. You know your mom.
Yeah.
And she said, no, there are two things. One, they're going to figure this out and it's going to work out. And secondly, you now have a new purpose. And she told me what I had to do. And third, she said I could not go with her because it wasn't time yet. So now I'm sucked back into my body and my chest is killing me because they're doing chest compressions. Now, bear in mind, at this point, I'm snowblind, which means it's super bright. So I have no concept of time, for one, and the left side of my body. I can't use my arm, my leg, etc. And I hear the one word no one ever wants to hear. Clear. I'm like, oh God, no, this can't be. Don't do this. Please don't do this. And I hear him rubbing the paddles. And he's starting to come down to hit me. And all of a sudden I went from beep to beep, beep, beep. And thank God he's on the right side, not left. I grabbed him with my hand. I look up to that corner. My mom's gone. And now they go into full stroke protocol. He's back and da-da-da-da. They're pulling stuff out of me there. But what I did get is a new focus on life. I call it my 4Fs. Faith, family, friends, and fun. And you know what really sucks is the older we get, that last four, fun, seems to disappear from our lives because we're too busy living to enjoy being alive.
I mean, I that resonates deeply. My word of the year was fun. It was like remind myself to like celebrate, where I am and what life is and not take it too seriously. So those are four very powerful words, obviously. And clearly, what an incredible, powerful, also super unfortunate experience. But it sounds like it changed you like immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, my cardiologist and neurologist agreed that, and remember, I had that stroke on October 28th.
Right.
They both said, had I not had that stroke, I would have been dead before Thanksgiving because my heart was giving out, essentially. And so now I have a pacemaker defibrillator inside of me that kind of helps to regulate things. But if it doesn't change you, then you're just existing now. You're not living. And I'd say you're not human because something like that, there's no way it can't touch you. I look at life completely different. I appreciate everything. We all say nobody's promised tomorrow until you don't have it tomorrow, like I did. And when I'm granted, now I appreciate everything. Conversations, I don't want better. I want bigger. I want bigger conversations, bigger relationships, bigger smiles, bigger hugs from my granddaughter, bigger, bigger, bigger. Because you get a chance to live once. And I always think what I used to tell my son, life's not a video game. Once you turn it off, that's it, right? Well, I can't use that line anymore since I proved that one wrong. But most people don't get a second chance. And so don't just exist. Find a way to live and find something that you do just for yourself to give yourself some grace, to give yourself an opportunity to close out all the noises of life. And believe me, we all know there's a lot of noise right now. And also an opportunity to recharge your batteries. Whether for you it's prayer or it's meditation or it's walking on the beach, whatever, going to the gym, whatever it is. You have to have a way every single day to do something just for you. Otherwise, you feel like you're on that hamster wheel, right?
Right.
Jane, get me off this crazy thing. That kind of thing is real.
Yeah, and for the person listening right now, you don't have to go through the kind of life altering experience that Roderick went through to make a
I
choice.
pray that you never do.
Right. Like, and it's by you sharing your story and your passion and saying, like, this is what I figured out real quick. Like, we have a chance to learn that from you, right? Like, if you're listening and you're like, damn, I do want to change this about my life. Like, because yeah, I don't know about tomorrow. Like, listen to that. Whatever's coming up for you right now, listen to that, honor that. I believe that's why you're here, Roderick, is to like remind people what a gift it is to have the choices that we have to live the life that we want to live. But I know that that's not necessarily your mission, but your mother from the other side. Well, you were on the same side at that point, the way that you describe it. But so you had a new mission. Like, what was it? Did you know it right away? Did you have to sit with it? Like, what happened next? Because you're like, on that sales, leadership, jets, helicopters, writing
Yeah.
books, getting on stages. Like, now what?
No, I knew it the right way. My,
Mm.
my mom is one of those people that you never have to assume or infer. She's very, very direct in her words, and she's very specific with her words as well. And yes, and I'm living it every day. It's to be able to touch other people's journeys.
Mm.
I may not be able to make their lives better, but a little easier, right? And specifically, it's the invisible people, as we call it, the folks at the front desk when you check in to a hotel, the valet folks, the folks that work the train, the people that are waiters and waitresses. And it is to give them one smile every day that they would not have gotten had they not incurred me in their life. And if I can do that, mission accomplished. That was one. The other thing was exactly what we're doing right now, sharing my story in hopes that folks will understand. And this is directly to those listening. I'm not doing this for the accolades. I'm not doing it for the shock. I'm not doing it for the ego to share the story. I'm doing it in hopes that you won't have to go through what I did. And I don't mean just the stroke. What I'm talking about is missing out on life. I'm talking about being so focused on navigating that journey towards success that you forget about balance, self care, and mindfulness. And when those things get out of balance and out of whack, you no longer have control of your body or your destiny.
Wow. Powerful messages, powerful mission now, right? Purpose. And I can't help but wonder when it comes to, right, like helping the invisible be seen, be visible. I just put out a newsletter myself actually about this idea of being seen.
I saw it.
Is
Great article, blogs.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And do you believe that this purpose is it linked to you having experiences and not feeling seen? Where do you think this particular piece of your purpose comes from and how you connect deeply to it?
I've thought about that a lot.
Mm.
And the answer that came back to me was this has nothing to do with me. It's not about me in the least bit. It's literally about being able to share my gifts with others to make their lives a little better. And everybody deserves that.
And do you feel like that was your orientation in your life previous, or is it amplified now? Like, was it always just underlying, or no, is this just like a whole new chapter?
Whole new chapter. I've always been a people
Mm.
person, but I
Mm.
think I'm far more empathetic. And I was always someone that leaned heavily on my IQ, right?
Mm.
And now, since then, IQ has taken a backseat to EQ. And that is far more important to me, especially, like I said, given all of the craziness and all the noise going on today. And I still believe that there are a ton of good people in this world, regardless of what the media would want you to believe. And I want to be one of those good people, not just to be a good guy, but because I firmly believe that empathy and being human will overcome all of the craziness that's going in today's world. I
Mm.
really do. I have to believe that because otherwise my head would explode on certain days. All right. And with that, if I can be a part of that, then you know what? I can look at my mama when I see her face again and say two words: mission accomplished.
Mm. Well, yeah, what I'm really hearing, and I don't know what came up for me when you were sharing, right, is this idea of balance. You said, right, it was all about IQ, and this, you have this life event, and then like there's like a rebalancing in a way. I don't know if you feel, if that feels
There
like,
is.
uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's not even a reshuffle. It's a
Mm,
reprioritization, is what it is.
mhm, mhm,
It is putting more on people than things, processes, programs, platforms, all the things I did before. Because I realize now in hindsight that had I died that day and not been brought back, my company would have sent a distribution check to my wife. They would have put some flowery things up on social media, and then they would have opened another rec to replace me because the show must go on. And so at the end of the day, I thought, while what I was doing was important, it was what I did. It's not who I am.
mm.
And at this age and stage of life, who I am is far more important than what I do.
Woo, mic drop. Mic drop. This identity piece is, first of all, because you talked about identity with like being a protector and a provider. And I think that is a burden that so many, especially men, carry. And
Yes.
it's not talked about the damage that that does, right? Like what these expectations, not to mention, carrying the weight of the future, on your shoulders for the other folks that followed, that are black or brown or, fill in the blank, the next one.
Mhm.
And then I'm sensing like, oh, like a bit of survival mode, a bit of like, just so in it that you can't even see that this is your normal operating system is survival. And I see it in a lot of people. They don't know that they're in that. And now with your perspective, well, I'm curious if that resonates. I mean, I see you like nodding your head. So I'm assuming there's a little bit of recognition, but like, what would you say to other people who are actually maybe in survival mode right now? They don't know it. They don't see it. Like, what would you say to them to help them see maybe this is you right now?
First and foremost, you nailed it. I don't know what kind of psychic powers you have, Tosca, but they're strong. They're very strong.
Mm,
Because you're right. We men are taught to be providers and protectors. And I don't think we understand how much damage that does sometimes because that puts an enormous amount of responsibility and accountability on us. And so now, to those that are out listening to this, if you wake up in the morning and the first thought you have is, I need to check my phone and it's work related, I need to check my email, I need to see what's going on with this deal, I need to go, you might want to go and check yourself, right? If you're not taking time throughout the day and you're not blocking in, and I do this now, I block times throughout my day to just recharge my batteries,
mm,
right? And to just walk away, to get away from the screen, away from a Zoom camera, away from real life. Sometimes it's just going outside to get some sun in your face. Sometimes it's going for a walk. Sometimes it's, I'm just going to go and grab something to drink, sit on the couch and breathe. And I mean physically and mentally breathe. So if you're not doing that for yourself, and if anyone asks you, or right now you were to ask yourself, what do you do for fun? And what
mm,
do you do just for you? And you don't have an answer to that, you've already got a bigger problem than you realize it.
mm. What I'm hearing in that is creating space, creating spaciousness. And what I hear too is like being a part of the equation of your own life.
Absolutely.
Like, what are you doing for you? I see it time and time again with my clients too, right? Like, of omitting ourselves from the equation, whatever
Yeah.
it is, the relationship, the career, the job, the team, the whatever, and the damage that that does.
Yeah. I think if you were to stack rank all the things that are really important to you in life and you're not in those top three, you might want to rejigger
Mm,
that. Right. And there's one other thing that I wish somebody would have told me earlier in life, and I didn't have to learn it from this situation we talked about.
Mm.
Stop being so damn hard on yourself.
Mm.
Give yourself the same amount of grace that you give other people. All too often, we say things to ourselves internally that we would never say outwardly to our friends or family, but yet we find it okay to say it to ourselves.
Mm.
Stop doing that and stop being your own worst. People say critic. No, I'll say your own worst enemy is what you're being. So learn how to give yourself some grace. And the one thing I think that's really shifted since the stroke now in the way that I approach life and business is this. You're going to screw up. It's going to happen. We're human, right? And it's not that I give myself grace. No, I give myself the expectation that I'm going to mess up.
Mm.
And when I do, I kind of go, it's not so bad. If there's, and I always say to people, fill in the blank. If this fill in the blank is the worst thing that happens to me all day, pretty damn good day.
And well, I'm curious as you're sharing this, right? You talk about your focus on like empathy and grace. Was there a journey in, right, this massive shift in your life? Did you have to give yourself grace? Were you hard on yourself when you were looking backward from that moment, in 2021, in October 27th? Like, or was it like, no, I'm not going to beat myself up. I am where I am. This happened. Now I'm just moving forward. I clearly have a new purpose. Like I have a whole new lens. Or was there a journey of like, oh shit, uh, I don't know. Like, what was that like for you?
I think I've looked at both sides of the coin. One, I look back and go, wow, how could I not see this when everybody else
Mm.
did, right? Because you're in it so thick and becomes your daily routine. And then there's the flip side that says everything happens when it was supposed to happen, right? Now, being an author, I look at it and go, that was just one chapter of my life's book.
Mm.
Thankfully, I have other chapters after that because there's a lot of people that have a lot of stuff on their calendar for today that they're never going to get to because they're not still here.
Mm.
And so now every day I'm working on the next chapter. And look, I don't want to make it sound like life is utopia. No, there's still problems, there's still issues. I still go ups and downs, but I don't think I go as high as I used to for things. That I don't go as low as I used to on things, right? I don't ever allow my accolades or my mistakes to define me.
Mm. Preach right there. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that was my whole 2025, right? Of really, really finding the balance of softening the lows, softening the highs so that you're a little bit more on even keel. I actually had an interview with another gentleman, Pat Dwyer, and we talked about this. We talked about the seesaw and the tilt and this idea
Mhm.
of coming back to balance, and that is a skill on both ends, right? Because we can
And it
get,
can be terrifying too.
yeah, because we can get really, really hooked on like external validation and those highs of feeling like this is it. But if we only feel like this is it once every year or once every few years, like it's a problem. It creates a whole nother
Yeah.
problem, right?
Yeah. Dopamine's a funny thing, isn't it? And I don't mean funny, haha. It's
Right,
funny,
right.
finger quotes, interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially
It's
it's
about regulating that.
yeah. Got to ask this now because you have such a unique perspective, right? So how do you deal with the lows? What are the tools in your toolbox? And maybe it's the 4 F's that you mentioned, but like back up what brings you back to perspective of like, I'm happy to be alive because we can't, that's not sustainable every
Yeah.
minute of every day, right?
No.
So like
No.
what
I don't
what
wake every day going, oh, I'm so glad I'm alive. No,
right.
I'm human. There are a few things. One, my family keeps me grounded.
Mm.
Right now, if I go away and I come back, the first thing my wife always says is, can you take the garbage out? You're not that guy up on the stage that everybody came to pay to see. So what I need is the garbage out. So can you help? Can you vacuum? Can you dust? Can you help around here since you haven't been here? Right. So and it sounds funny, but it really helps me to stay grounded because being a
Mm.
keynote speaker, there's a lot of accolades and admiration, I'll say. Right.
Mm.
And this helps to keep me grounded. The second piece is a lot of prayer
Mm.
and meditation. And the third piece is therapy. I am a huge proponent of therapy, of going and talking to someone that does not have a horse in the race. Someone here who is fundamentally here to make you better, bigger, faster, and stronger. and someone that, okay, legally can't go and share this with anyone, right? Unless you've done just some craziness, but I'm not that crazy. But I think therapy is a big piece of staying grounded and keeping people in your inner circle that will say no, or if I were you, I probably wouldn't do that, or what the hell were you thinking? Because if you don't have those people in your circle, you don't really have a circle of friends. You have an echo chamber,
Mm.
and no one needs that.
Yeah. And the willingness, right, to hear it, the ability to hear it, because we
Yes,
might have people around us right now. We likely do have people around us right now are telling us the thing that we really need to hear because we can't see it, but we also have to be open to receiving that.
absolutely. Yeah.
So for you who's listening, it's like ask yourself in the past week, what have some of the closest people in your life been telling you that maybe you really haven't let really root in and and honor that somebody's out there trying to help you already to support you? What might that be that you want to revisit? Oh my gosh, I know we're running close on time, and I definitely want to honor that you got places to go and things to do
And people to see.
and people to see, and people to hug, big hugs. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. It is. It's going to be a big hug day. See, that's the thing for me today. I'm going to go to a conference where I'm not speaking, and I'm going to go see friends just to catch up and for a lot of hugs.
Yay. I'm a hugger too. I'm just saying. So next time, when we meet up
Oh,
in person
yes.
someday, we're gonna
Oh,
hug
big
it out.
hugs.
We're gonna hug it
Big
out.
hugs. That's
So
it. That's
eh,
it.
thank you so much for sharing your story, for your vulnerability, for sharing all these things that like are deeply important for people to hear about. Like therapy is important, right? Empathy is important. Hope with a plan is important. All of these beautiful life lessons that you're sharing. Is there anything that we missed? Like, is there anything that you really want to land with people? And of course, where and how can they read your book if they want to learn more?
Thank you for that. And thanks for the opportunity to do this. I'd say to those that are listening, take some time to get to know you a little better because with each age and stage of life, we all shift. And sometimes everybody else sees it, but we don't stop to see it and or enjoy it. So enjoy the age and stage that you're at. Don't worry about what was behind because you can't change it now. Don't worry about what's in front of you because you really can't impact it until you're moving towards it, right? And so take time to be one of my favorite words right now that I am just embracing like never before. Be present. That means if the family wants to talk to you, be there mentally and physically, right? And emotionally. Get off the phone, get off the TV, spend some time with them. I'm not saying you shouldn't have those times, but spend some time with people that really matter to you. And I call them my tribe,
Mm.
right? With your tribe. But also spend some time alone because for some reason, being alone and looking in that mirror scares the hell out of some people,
Mm.
which means you don't like who you see. You've got to get to a point where not only do you love yourself, but you start to like yourself as well. That's when life really becomes fun. In regards to the book, thank you for that. The book now is officially in pre-sale and you can find it on roderickjefferson.com. That's RODERICK, Jefferson, just like the president.com. And there are tons more stories than what we've had a chance to talk about. But more importantly, what I'm giving is kind of some life lessons that I hope can help others, whether or not you've ever had a stroke, these things, or a horizontal play. And that doesn't mean that I think I know it all. No, I am the consummate and the perpetual learner. And what I'm hoping is that I can share some of the things that have worked for me and not. There is good, there's bad, and there's ugly in the book as well. I'm not one to try and paint it with rose-colored glasses and say, oh, life is wonderful in utopia. No, no, no. I give you some things where I screwed up and I wish that I wouldn't have and didn't have to do them to learn. Now you can learn it from me and not do it on yourself. So,
Mm.
Tosca, thank you and to your audience so much for the opportunity to share a bit, a glimpse of my journey. And I wish you and them all the best that life has to offer.
thank you so much for the gift of your presence and your wisdom, hard-fought wisdom. All of your links will be in the show notes. This will be launching in the week of your book launch. So there will be, I'm sure, more goodies in the links to share. And
Absolutely.
I hope you have an amazing time getting some big old hugs this afternoon.
Oh
And
yeah, I could use some hugs right now too. It's one of those weeks where it's been a long week, right? And now I'm ready to go see my tribe.
yes, yes. And best of luck on your book launch and reaching the masses with the lessons that, like you said, they don't have to learn painfully. So thank you for that gift.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you next time.
Take care.
You too. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful conversation with Roderick. Please do check all the show notes for his website, for where to buy his book. And also, we didn't mention it in the conversation, but he does have a beautiful freebie for you in the show notes. So please be sure to check that out. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate, like, and review on the platform you're listening on. That helps to get more ears on these beautiful messages that were shared today.